My name is George and I'm one of the co-founders of Bradley van der Straten Architects.
Hi, my name is Ewald and fellow director of Bradley van der Straten Architects, and today is quite an exciting day for us. We are having a photo shoot done inside whilst we are talking to you here, and we will be covering a project of ours called Field House, one of our latest ones. And we'll be walking through the house, talking a bit about the design ideas that have gone into this, some aspects that might be useful for your own project or any kind of renovation. And it's pretty much an all-access day for us.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for us to give you a walkthrough, and me and Ewald can talk to you directly and explain some of the things that we've done here and hopefully inspire you.
Yeah. You want to talk a bit about the existing house, how we found it?
Yeah, I think if we start with the geography of the house. So it's a beautiful property. When we were first approached by the clients, a family with two children, and they bought this house located in East London, and it was previously council owned and had been empty for 4 or 5 years, but an absolute gem of a house to be sat there empty.
I thought you were going to say something else there, but starting with a T and ending with a P.
So the house, it's facing onto a park, and it's split over 3 levels.
Yeah.
And we've kind of described it as triple fronted. We don't even know if that's actually a
I
term
thought it was
for a house, but
but yeah, fair enough.
it's a semi-detached. It definitely is that.
Yes.
And the 3 levels are spread out so that the middle level is actually facing onto the street, and then the garden steps down from street level. So as you enter into the main front door of the property, you're on the ground floor.
Just driving past.
Well, we're in central London.
Exactly.
So the front door takes you into this main ground floor.
Yep.
Then you drop down into a basement with a garden at the back, or from the ground floor you go up into another beautiful floor.
Yeah.
But when we were first approached, it was not we saw the potential, but not the most inspiring property, particularly the basements.
No, that's right. It wasn't used as a living area at all. It was dark and damp and pretty dingy down there. Because it was all damp, there was no kind of connection either. There was no kind of work done to it. There was standard windows. So that was one of the main challenging points of reconnecting this beautiful, quite a large house to that existing garden.
And one of the bizarre things about that basement level is the whole level faced onto the garden, but there were actually no windows across the back of the property. Mm-hmm. And the only access to the garden was half a story up. So from the ground floor, you kind of drop down and some stairs.
Yeah.
So it was a great project for us to take on, and we had a great time kind of looking at design options of how to really sort of solve the interlock of all these spaces and create essentially a beautiful family home. Mm. And we're going to talk you through that now when we go inside.
Yes, come on in. Wait a minute, George, before you go in, I think it's worth explaining to the viewer where things are in plan. This is the point of entry for George. On your right is the lounge, and on the left is the existing kitchen and dining area. Also from that same hallway, there is a WC that was accessible, but very much in need of repair. 3 sets of staircases, one going up, one from the basement to the ground floor, and one from the garden to mid-level landing. We decided to remove 2 sets of staircases, one internal from basement to the ground floor level, as well as the small staircase from the garden to that mid-landing itself. A view was created as you walked in, straight towards the garden, and further internal views were created from the kitchen to the lounge. Structural nibs were removed to create a double aspect in the kitchen dining area. 2 sash windows were introduced in that circulation space to create those views out from the front door. And then 2 sets of internal doors, bespoke oak doors, were introduced to create a visual connection between the kitchen, dining area and the lounge. That's the triple height space that we created, inserted a new contemporary staircase from the basement level to the ground floor level. The existing opening was relocated to get into that dining room from the hallway. The existing WC window was blocked up, And then the kitchen was introduced both sides of that kitchen dining area with an island in the middle. Great views were created for that dining straight onto the park, as well as an internal view from the kitchen to the dining area, where we then created that bridge between the two.
So when you first come into the front door, you arrive into the heart of the building. So here we're right in the middle of the plan and in the hallway that links the two levels. And this is where the key to us unlocking and solving this design happens. So when you came in through the front door, what you can see behind us is a view to the outside, and there wasn't anything, it was all blocked off. And we've opened up this space. So we've opened it downwards to link to the basement level, we've opened it with windows to face into the garden, and we've opened it up with more light from the top. And there'll be more of that later when we go upstairs. Yeah,
it creates these diagonal views. As soon as you walk through that door, you see the sky up, you see the garden straight ahead, as well as you see that ground floor or basement level. So it's a very dynamic space suddenly, and you unlock that kind of room within next to another room kind of layout. It got rid of that, where suddenly everything became open section.
Yeah,
is the word for it, I think.
But on the ground floor, what we've created is behind me, we've got this beautiful traditional stair that sweeps up to the bedroom levels. But on the ground floor, we've almost created like these two wings either side as a circulation space. So over this way is the kitchen and the dining room, and over this way is the big family lounge. But what we really love is this difference in dynamic of what Ewald's saying about the open section. Is as soon as you walk in and you're here, you can look straight down into the garden. And that's been created by putting in this new stair. So this is an entirely new stair for linking the basement level.
The problem with that kind of, the staircase is in the middle of the plan. If you have kitchen dining on that side and the lounge on the other side, you end up with a bit of a disconnect, which is why we also came up with the idea of creating some sort of bridge, which is what you see behind the stair. It's a physical kind of connection that's between the two areas or spaces. Whilst it also doubles up as a study, it becomes a bit of a command center that you can look out inside as well as outside when you work on that desk. So it's a bit of playful elements in there just to not end up with a full disconnect.
Every house should have a command center.
Sounds good to me.
But so the benefits, what this space is doing functionally is it's circulation. You move up to the top floor and down. But also we've really accentuated the feeling of height by putting in a new roof light right at the top, which wasn't there before, so light flooding down. But we've created these cross views between the spaces. So either side of the bridge that's behind us, on 2 floors, it's glazed. So kitchen can look through into this space, down into the garden, across into the lounge, down into the spaces in the basement as well. So you're constantly getting all these various cross views and angles, which was really exciting to see that develop as it was getting constructed. Hopefully we're going to be able to portray that in this video as well and show you.
Yes, the other thing to add to that is there is also a play with materials here, where we have obviously this beautiful Victorian Georgian house that we want to respect and maintain a lot of elements, historical elements, but at the same time, because we were creating a new staircase, we wanted to contrast the two inside the house. So you got obviously this beautiful timber stair and all the spindles, and then a modern interpretation of the stair going down with oak and steel fins, so that there is again that element of dynamic in materiality, where you've got the covings, the dado rail, which is very traditional, versus the kind of staircase full of shadow gaps with steel spindles left, right and centre. So yeah.
So we'll be coming back into this space because it's the heart. Every room in the house links somehow to this triple volume space. But first of all, we're going to go across and over to here to what one half of the ground floor is taken up with a cross-lit dining and kitchen space.
That's good.
Go through. Before I go into the kitchen, I thought it's good to just recap on what we're doing with the entranceway in section. So here we are coming into the front door on the first floor, and the first thing we decided to do was to remove the walls and the floor to create a big double height space when you first come in. We took out most of the back wall of the property onto the garden. Then the next thing we did is inserted a new stair to get down to the basement, and it's a dog leg stair here that bends down, and then put in 2 new large windows overlooking that garden with a nice little bridge walkway behind them. And then at basement level we put in more glazing, so to create this really open and double height space. Going up to the first floor, we opened up that landing, made it 1/3 bigger by taking out a wall and putting in a low balustrade, and we opened up the ceiling in the loft and put in a new roof light. We vaulted up the ceiling to go up to that roof light, and this enabled loads of natural light to flood into the first floor. We've got a beautiful view from the entrance out to the garden and views across all levels. So here we are in the kitchen space and the dining room, and what was beautiful with this property, the opportunity that it presented, was that we could create these through spaces. So this is the kitchen space looking out onto the garden, keeping the existing windows, so these beautiful Georgian windows, really tall proportions, and we really exaggerated the frames and went really bold with the colours, which really sort of helps make the space. But then behind you on this side, there's a dining table and two side-by-side windows. If you bring the camera around here, so here you get the benefit of cross light through the space. Really nice proportions of a really good sized dining room next to the kitchen, and then 2 of the windows again painted in the same colour. What was really cool.
So what's happening here, George? Well, it's not a normal kind of island, isn't it? It's a bit like standing on stilts.
Yeah, well, the really interesting thing with this was I don't think we've done a kitchen like it before of doing a double galley, and the space was just perfect for it. So by double galley, we've got an island in the middle, and we've got the main units on this side with fridge and sink, but then more storage units on the other side. And as an aesthetic, this island is on stilts, so it's on legs, so it feels and looks like a piece of furniture in the space. So it allows the space to flow a bit more, it feels a bit lighter, the flooring continues underneath. And that was interesting. That presented a few challenges as well, because we wanted this to be a functioning island. So we've got the hob right in the middle, and obviously the hob needs electrics and gas, so there's roots sort of tucked in under there that are kind of hidden away to sort of keep this nice seamless look. This is actually, as we were kind of, we draw these things, we design these projects, and you never fully 100% know what they're going to feel like. But as we were kind of building, this started really becoming one of my favourite spots in the house, because it's the hub. It's where you've got the hob, where you're going to spend a lot of time preparing food. But behind you, and I'll show you that in a minute, I don't know, maybe if you want to sort of spin around and see it, but from this hob you can see out into the garden, you can see across to the dining, but then you get this amazing view all the way across the triple height space that we were just in, through to the lounge, but you can also see down, so into the rooms in the basement as well, which was amazing for us. It created this real dynamic, and it really kind of, once we sort of saw it being constructed physically, what was in the drawings was really sort of coming to life, and we knew it worked.
I can see that there's 2 floor finishes used here in the kitchen dining.
Yeah, this was definitely one of the sort of challenging aspects of working with the house from this period, is deciding what to keep in terms of materials and what to replace. And there's always sort of one thing that becomes a sort of real challenge for the project, and it was really interesting with the flooring here, is we wanted to keep as much of it as possible, but a lot of it, once you're sort of opening up, etc., for sort of gas and services, got damaged. So we decided to make a design feature out of it and keep part of the existing floor on one side, but then transition to new painted floorboards on the other side. And I think it creates this really kind of nice zonal thing to the kitchen space. It works really well, and we've done it before in other projects where we've maybe used tiles in the kitchen and then timber. But again, it's all adding to that dynamic of colours and a mixture here.
Talking about colours then, it's not your typical white box, white room. What was the thought process of getting to the colour choices in the kitchen?
Very much client-led, and it goes back to that initial design report that the client sort of presented to us before we started on the designs, which we immediately got excited about, because we knew it was going to be something great to work with. But so many of the references were beautiful kind of tiled Spanish houses and really vibrant colours. So in some of the places there's some real sort of surprise choices and some contrasts. So the windows in here are this lovely blue colour, but then we've gone for a mustard in the similar windows but on the other side of the house. And they're all things that they really make for a nice family home. I think it gives it that personality and that character rather than everything sort of feeling the same. There's surprises everywhere in this property.
So, George, was it always this open plan, or was it always one big room?
No, yeah, I think that's quite an important thing in terms of the geography of this space. So it was semi-open plan. So there was an opening here that wasn't too wide. And so the first thing that we did structurally here is we opened this up and put in this new steel beam, and just using some of the sort of clever tricks that we use in a lot of our houses, but the supporting elements for this steel beam are then hidden inside the back of cupboards. So it was really important for us to then create this flow of space so the cupboards continue beyond the steel beam. So it doesn't feel like two rooms, it feels like one linked in space. But I think also, actually, if we're looking over this way, I think it's also interesting to note that before we started on this, there was also a downstairs, a really grotty downstairs toilet here. So the kitchen space was a lot narrower as well. So those two things combined, moving the downstairs toilet and opening up this, has definitely created this more open plan feel.
I can also see that you got all these cabinets. Can you buy them like as they are, or is this tailored to this space? How did that come about?
These ones are completely tailored to this space. So we worked with a joiner that we've worked with on a few of our projects that made it all bespoke. And it just allowed a lot more kind of personalised spaces in terms of larder and storage spaces. So it was completely bespoke to the client's needs. But it also meant that we had a lot of choice with materials, this beautiful oak that then comes back in other spaces in the house. But also we could build in things like hiding the structure. So this here doesn't open, that's solid, which really helps with the space.
And on the kitchen island, there's an interesting palette of material there.
Yeah, I mean, the palette of materials was, that was one of the really exciting things about right at the start of this project, is the clients had this amazing design brief that they developed for us. And it was really eclectic and was really kind of punchy with colours and materials. So it was already right from the beginning, there's a signal of this is going to be a really fun, nice family house. And one of the really nice touches is this sort of spot of brass that's on the back of the kitchen island that doesn't really appear anywhere else. It's kind of unexpected. But yeah, I really like that element. It catches the light really nicely as well.
So coming out of the kitchen into this command center, or the bridge, as it were, it is very much the epicenter of the house. You have one end the garden here, behind me is the kitchen, and on my left is a new triple height space with a new set of stairs coming up from the basement level to the ground level, and then the existing Victorian staircase going up. So the interesting part during the initial feasibility study, we had to be careful with what this opening would look like. Because this is a locally listed building, we couldn't necessarily make one large opening onto the garden, which would have been nice. So we had to keep the traditional proportions of a sash window, which they are. It doesn't doesn't feel like this traditional window from the inside. And the reason for that is because we've lined this whole opening with oak, consistent with what's happening in terms of materiality in the kitchen. And by doing that, you create this larger frame, or psychologically, you experience as a larger opening from the inside to the outside. And because it would have been a bit of a waste of opportunity, we kind of also inserted this windowsill, or oversized windowsill, to make space for some study. And on the other side, obviously, you have a beautiful, very dynamic view over 3 floors, where you see the front door over there. How about you actually go over to the other side, George, just to illustrate that point. You can come in, see right through to the garden, overlooking the staircase there, and then seeing to the outside with a strong connection to the outside, you see. There we go. Hello. So from that point of view, you can see roof light above, as well as out to the garden below, and straight across is where I'm standing, the study bridge, or the epicenter of the house itself.
So I'm now back at the front entrance of the house on the ground floor, and we've seen the main living areas of the property with the kitchen and the living room and the main hub in this staircase. And I'm now going to go upstairs to the bedroom levels, to the first floor.
Before George continues his journey on the first floor, I thought I'd take you around the plan once again. This is where he's about to come up to. On the existing plan, 5 bedrooms were surrounding that staircase and 1 shower room. That triple height space on the first floor was created by removing an internal wall and replacing it by a balustrade overlooking the existing Victorian staircase. An opening was created between the bedroom and the new study. The shower room was renovated, a new family bathroom was created, and that study was introduced.
So here we are on the first floor of the property, and this is the central hallway that's right in the heart of the plan. And a really important thing for us to do here is, as we've done on the lower levels by opening up and creating a new stair, creating views and light through the spaces, we wanted to do the same here and bring light in from above. So we've placed a new roof light right above the stairs and funneled the roof up. So these sloping surfaces that go right up to that roof light, allowing light to flood in, illuminate the whole of this floor, but also bring light down to the ground floor and where the front entrance is.
So George, what's the reason for not going for a larger opening than that Velux in there?
Good question. So yeah, we've used a standard sized roof light in the roof above here. And one of the challenges was actually, we've got above here, it's not a flat ceiling, so it's a pitched roof above, a traditional pitched roof. So that's the reason for creating that funnel. So this is just a typical roof light in a typical roof, and then all of this is just plasterboard kind of creation of form. But yes, we did have the option of going for a much bigger roof light, so we could have gone completely glass up here. And partly that was sort of driven by budget and being kind of sensible in certain areas. It's a big property, there's a lot of construction happening here, and it made a lot of sense to use a standard off-the-shelf product. And then the more economical parts of construction, which are plasterboarding, work around that shape. So they're creating this funnel.
Do you want to take us around the setup of the rooms?
Yeah, it's a great floor because we can actually do a loop round through all of the rooms. So I'll take you all the way round. So here at the top of the landing, so behind me is facing onto the garden, and we've got one family shower room here, with a nice big walk-in shower and existing window kept in the same place. And then we walk through here into the main bedroom, which has got its own ensuite bathroom. So the ensuite bathroom again at the back of the house and overlooking onto the park with some really beautiful featured wallpaper. And if you follow me through here, this is the main bedroom, and there's 2 bedrooms that front on the property, and you can see right onto the park, so you get these beautiful views. And then there's this great little sort of nook room that was kind of designed as potentially a walk-in wardrobe, but is being used as a study with a nice little window there that looks into the staircase. And then on this side, there's another 2 further bedrooms. So we've got 3 bedrooms on this floor.
So George, why are we here?
Why are you sat on a toilet?
Ergonomics?
We're in here because I think it's good to talk about the fabric of the building as well. So we're working with an existing locally listed building over 150 years old, but the clients were really keen on insulating it. And this is something that you don't really see now that it's complete, but we lined the whole of the property with insulation on the inside. But because it's an old building and it's solid brick, we didn't want to stop all the kind of natural breathing that you get going through brickwork walls. So we've used breathable natural materials. So we've used cork as the insulation that's about that thick that runs around all the walls. But then in addition to that, we haven't put plasterboard on top or anything synthetic. We've used traditional lime render and then clay-based paints. So the advantage of that is the building feels warm. We're using natural materials that don't emit any toxins like some other products do, but also it allows the building to breathe, so it's good for longevity and time. But I think it also really helps, particularly having the cork in there, with sound insulation as well. It feels very comfortable in the space. It feels very soft sound.
So now we are back on the ground floor in the hallway right by the front door, and I thought I'd show you guys around what's happening on the lower ground floor, the basement level. Follow me.
Before Ewald goes down to the basement level, let's just have a quick look and see what we did in plan. So here is a drawing of what the plan looked like before we did the work, with the stairs arriving down from the entrance above. And there's a theme to this level. Every room was dark, some of the rooms very dark. So the first thing we did, as I explained before in section, is we removed that existing stair and we replaced it with a new dogleg stair that leads all the way up to the entrance. The dogleg stair was open on 3 sides, so it was a nice opportunity to install some storage underneath. And the key thing we wanted to do on this floor was open up the width. So we knocked out the 2 side walls to that hallway, and so you could see the full width of this property. The next key thing that we wanted to do was then open up this floor onto the garden. So we created 3 new openings onto the back and 1 on the side that utilised this arch that was already there in the brickwork but had been blocked up. We installed glazing into all 4 of these openings and they flood the plan with light. We then installed glazing into the partitions that we'd opened up to separate the hallway from the new play, leisure, bed spaces, and then we put a bathroom in right at the back. So we get this beautiful plan with cross widths and views out to the garden. Let's go back to Ewald.
So as you come down onto into the basement level, the feeling of this space very much transforms into, you can tell that it hasn't got those Victorian or Edwardian features anymore. It feels very new, and there is that contrast between levels of this is very contemporary, and then the upstairs is a combination of, or is the traditional fit house. So as you come down, you kind of meet these steel finned balustrades. The oak staircase comes down on my left here. And all the way around, actually, this whole staircase, there is storage that we are making use of. We're not leaving that to waste. Behind you, George, there is a small bathroom. On your left, there is a leisure room, and on your right there is another bedroom. At the back, or at the front and at the back, is a playroom facing onto the garden. So coming through, the ground or the floor finish is again very different, or quite contemporary, with its concrete Spanish tiles. Because there were ties, the clients had ties with Spain. Some of that was to be incorporated into the whole materiality of the space. So once you come here, you are on the underside of the landing or the study platform. We've been quite true to its structure by revealing these beams, and you see the workings of how that is all held up. The windows, or the doors, you could say, they are still full height, again, promoting that cross viewing, or that diagonal views across from one room to the other, while still being able to close spaces off. So these new rooms in the basement, they're a far cry from what they used to be. As I said earlier, this was all quite dark and dingy, but by making these new openings onto the garden, obviously you have a physical connection, but also a psychological, visual connection from here. It doesn't feel like that basement anymore at all. Whereas at the front, it's still a window onto a light rail, so there is a strong contrast between front and back. So behind me, you might have noticed this beautiful arched window. So this wasn't here before this opening. So the arch was there in the brickwork, but what we've decided to do is remove the brickwork underneath the arch and inserting this new window. It's quite a dramatic feature. It again promotes the diagonal views from both angles, out and in, and it's just a nice kind of touch to make more of this. And then obviously the access to the garden is quite nice in all of these 3 openings. So walking through here in the hallway, back with into the triple height space. There is an option to go out to the garden or go further in, where I'm now into the children's play area, where there is an option for the kids to hang out and play in peace, or leave the parents in peace, however way you want to see it. So it comes with its own access to the garden again. And in summertime, this is rather nice. You've got lots of ventilation and everything breathes very well.
Now this is us practicing our Strictly entrance.
Yes, or walking up the aisle.
So we're at the back of the house now, where we can now see most of what we've done to the property. There's the top story that you can't see, but the 3 stories of the house facing onto the garden. And one of the key things really here is that we didn't extend this house. It was already a very big footprint. So there's no extension here at the ground floor. But essentially what we've done on the ground floor is we've opened up 3 new openings with this beautiful crystal glazing. And maybe shall I start with what was here before?
Yeah, go for it.
So here before, when on the ground floor to get to the garden, there was a door that was about halfway up the wall. So you arrived 1/2 of a story above the garden, and these big kind of concrete blocky steps to get out. And then there were no further openings onto the garden here. So that's the really big kind of key change that we've done with the 3 openings, and lowering the patio. So you've got the height to come out and lowering the ground.
Yeah, the inside of the basement level was also fully tanked like any other basement, because of water ingress from the foundations up needed to be dealt with. And then that transition now onto the garden from the inside is very smooth and hasn't got any thresholds up or down, apart from further in with this brick pattern or patio area. The other feature that you can see in the middle of 2 of us is the surrounds around the new sash windows. It is not your stereotypical kind of render. It is, if you look closely, maybe you can't pick that up just yet, but it is paint concrete to make that into a bit of a feature and make the most of that new opening. Again, to make it read like one big gesture rather than 2 small openings in there.
And then one of the other features that we kept from the property before, we always like to keep elements of the previous property and not sort of fully sort of blank canvas, change it. And it already had this white painted line band around that goes around to the front. And we kept that instead of sort of cleaning off the bricks. But it almost creates that new materiality again on the basement level. So where we've created these openings, we've used new bricks, so these really lovely white textured bricks as the lintel above the crystal glazing and as the piers in between.
I think we've covered most of the building, unless I'm missing something off on the outside, George.
We'll always be missing something off.
Yes.
But yeah, no, thank you very much for joining us on the tour around the house. We hope you like it, and we hope that you've taken some inspiration from what we've done on this property.
Yes, thank you from my end as well. If you wanted to find out more about this particular property, go and check out our website, b-vds.co.uk, or check out our Instagram page, which has got the name BVDS Architects, where you see not just this project, but plenty more. So if there's something out there that we can help you with, or somebody out there who we can help you with wanted to take on something similar, just give us a call and we'd be happy to assist.
So how do we do a Strictly exit?
Have you practiced?
You that way, me that way.
Let's go for that.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching this video. You made it all the way to the end.
And if you're about to embark on your own journey extending or renovating your home, then we have something for you.
We've created a tool for you to generate and track your budget for your construction project. Something that can set you up with a strong foundation for a successful project.
Click on the first link that you see below this video and submit your name and email address, and you'll get instant access to this powerful tool.
Don't forget to like the video that you just watched below, to leave a comment about your favorite part, and to subscribe to our channel.
We'll see you in the next video.